If your roses keep dying, it's not you. It's the roses you've been told to buy. Most beginners fail for the same reason, and it has nothing to do with skill. They pick the wrong rose. Number 8 is what landscapers plant when failure isn't an option. Number 4 doesn't even need deadheading. And number 1 breaks every rule about difficult roses. You've seen it before. The rose looks perfect at the garden center, full blooms, healthy foliage, the kind of plant that makes you feel like a real gardener. You bring it home. You plant it right. You water it. You feed it. 2 weeks later, the leaves are covered in black spot. A month later, the blooms are thin and sparse. By midsummer, half the plant has dropped its leaves. You did everything right. It still failed. The problem was never you. It was the rose. Most roses at a typical garden center were bred decades ago. Back when rose growing assumed you had time to spray every week, deadhead every bloom, baby the plant through every heat wave. Those roses are beautiful. They're also genuinely difficult. They were never built for a beginner with a full-time job. Modern breeding changed all of that. Today's best roses are bred for disease resistance, continuous blooms, survival under real-world conditions. They were literally bred to survive neglect. These are 10 roses that make you look like a pro. Rose 10, absolutely fabulous, Julia Child. This one fills your garden fast. Warm, buttery yellow blooms, big clusters, a vigorous, healthy plant that forgives mistakes. And then there's the fragrance. Most modern roses barely smell. This one smells like licorice. You'll catch it from feet away. Here's the real win: disease resistance. Absolutely fabulous shrugs off black spot without spraying. Foliage stays clean all season. 4 feet tall, 4 feet wide. Big enough to anchor a border. Compact enough for a small garden. Continuous blooms from late spring through fall. No deadheading. Planted in full sun. Water it. Step back. The next rose looks completely different. Rose 9, Beatrix Potter. Soft, full blooms. Classic English look, but much easier to grow. It's a David Austin rose, deeply cupped, fully petaled, warm peachy pink. Here's the problem with most English roses. Gorgeous, also fragile. They demand specific soil, careful watering, constant attention. Miss one step and they start declining. Beatrix Potter doesn't. It forgives inconsistent watering. It handles soil conditions that would stress other roses. Even when care isn't perfect, it keeps performing. Blooms keep coming. Foliage stays healthy. Plant keeps growing, 3 to 4 feet tall. Classic warm rose scent with fruity undertones. Works in borders, containers, small spaces. English rose elegance without the English rose demands. Rose 8, brick house. This is what landscapers plant when failure isn't an option. Brick house is a floribunda, clusters of coral pink blooms, bred specifically for real-world conditions. Think about where professional landscapers work: public spaces, parking lots, commercial properties, no one spraying on a schedule, soil conditions all over the map. The rose either performs or it gets ripped out. Brick house is what they plant. Disease resistance is exceptional. Bloom production is non-stop. Tidy form without aggressive pruning. This rose doesn't have bad seasons. It doesn't sulk after a late frost. It doesn't struggle through a dry spell. It just keeps blooming. The coral pink works with almost any palette. Large, abundant clusters, even on a young plant. Planted in full sun. Water it during establishment. Continuous color from late spring through hard frost. The next rose takes bloom volume to an almost unbelievable level. Rose 7, pretty poly pink. This one doesn't just bloom, it covers itself. Compact miniature rose, 18 inches tall. Perfect for containers, small borders, tight spaces. Here's what makes it different. Most miniatures bloom sparsely. A few flowers here and there. You plant them hoping for more than you get. Pretty poly pink is the opposite. At peak flowering, the plant is almost entirely covered in small, perfectly formed pink blooms, foliage barely visible underneath. And because it's compact, it's forgiving, establishes faster, less stress from transplanting, recovers quicker from inconsistent watering or slightly wrong soil pH, disease resistance, solid, repeat blooming, reliable, maintenance, minimal, deadhead occasionally, water during dry spells. That's it. Rose 6, Orange Glow Knockout. This is where roses became simple. The Knockout series permanently changed rose gardening. Orange Glow is one of the most striking in the lineup. Bright orange blooms that shift to coral and peach. It stands out fast. But the color is almost secondary. Here's what actually matters about knockout roses. Disease resistance is unmatched. Black spot, powdery mildew, rust. The diseases that kill ordinary roses simply don't establish on knockout foliage. Plant one of these and you skip the most frustrating part of rose growing entirely. Orange Glow blooms from late spring through hard frost. Almost zero maintenance beyond basic watering and annual pruning. 4 feet tall and wide. Naturally rounded shape that needs minimal pruning. Most people don't realize this. They've just been planting the wrong roses from the start. If that's hitting a little too close to home, hit like, because you're not the only one who's been doing it this way. Rose 5, Cherry Frost. Most climbers are high maintenance. This one isn't. Cherry Frost is a friendly climber. Clusters of cherry red blooms on long, arching canes. Train it up a trellis, fence, or arbor with minimal effort. The color holds, true red that doesn't fade to pink or purple in heat. Most climbers require specific pruning knowledge, careful training, constant attention, disease problems on top. Cherry Frost was bred to eliminate all of that. Disease resistance is excellent. Growth habit is manageable. Bloom production is generous without getting unruly. Repeat blooms reliably through fall. Biggest display in late spring. Vertical drama of a climbing rose, without the learning curve. The next rose removes the most tedious task in rose care entirely. Rose 4, White Knockout. You don't even have to deadhead this one, let that register. Removing spent blooms to push the next flush is one of the most time-consuming tasks in rose care. With White Knockout, it's completely unnecessary. The plant is self-cleaning. Spent petals drop on their own. New buds appear continuously. No intervention from you. The blooms are single-petaled and pure white, clean, modern, different from the layered complexity of hybrid teas, but no less beautiful. Disease resistance is the same exceptional standard as the rest of the knockout family. Foliage stays clean all season. Tidy, rounded form without aggressive pruning. Plant it. Water it during establishment. Prune it once a year in early spring. That's it. Continuous white blooms from late spring through frost. Nothing more required. The next rose was built for conditions that would destroy most plants. Rose 3, John Cabot. This was bred to survive brutal conditions. John Cabot is a Canadian explorer rose. That series was developed specifically to withstand the harsh winters of Canada, where temperatures regularly plunge far below what most roses can tolerate. Hardy to Zone 3, meaning it survives conditions that would kill the vast majority of garden plants, and most other roses. But cold hardiness is only part of the story. John Cabot produces a massive flush of deep pink, semi-double blooms in late spring. The kind of display that stops people walking past your garden. Long, arching canes. Train it as a climber or let it grow as a large, dramatic shrub. If you live in a cold climate and you've been told you can't grow roses, John Cabot is your answer. No winter protection, no coddling, no perfect conditions required. Repeat, blooming is good through the season. Main flush in late spring is the most spectacular. Disease resistance is solid. Establishes quickly. Grows confidently even in tough conditions. Rose 2, State of Grace. This looks high maintenance, but it isn't. State of Grace is a David Austin rose. Large, fully petaled blooms. Soft, warm yellow that fades to cream at the edges. the kind of flower most people associate with difficult, demanding roses. Sophisticated, layered, romantic. Looks like something only an experienced gardener could pull off. It isn't. Disease resistance is excellent for a David Austin. That breeding program used to prioritize beauty above everything else. Recently, they've shifted focus toward health and performance. State of Grace is the result. You get the full romantic English rose aesthetic without the disease management problems older varieties in this style required. Fragrance is strong and classic. Warm tea rose scent that carries through the garden. Grows about 4 feet tall, bushy, well-branched habit. Repeat blooming reliable through the season. Each flush as beautiful as the last. The final rose on this list breaks every rule about difficult roses. Rose 1, Fragrant Cloud. This breaks every rule about difficult roses. Fragrant Cloud is a hybrid tea. That category is the one most associated with demanding care, disease problems, and frustrating results. Hybrid teas are the roses that gave rose growing its reputation for difficulty. Fragrant Cloud is the exception. It delivers the classic high-centered hybrid tea bloom. With disease resistance and vigor, you can actually manage. The fragrance is the main event. One of the most celebrated rose scents in the world. Rich, deep, classic rose perfume. It's been winning awards since the variety was introduced in the 1960s. Blooms are warm coral red, distinctive, striking, long stems perfect for cutting. Grows vigorously to about 4 feet. Disease resistance is good for a hybrid tea. Repeat blooming reliable through the season. You get the classic hybrid tea experience. Without the steep learning curve the category usually demands. Growing roses isn't about skill. It's about starting with the right plant. This is why people fail. They pick the prettiest rose on the shelf. Bring it home, it dies. They blame themselves. This is why some succeed instantly. They plant one of these 10, give it basic care, it thrives. They look like natural gardeners, not because they have a green thumb, because they started with a plant designed to make them look good. The right rose doesn't just survive, it does the work for you. Pick right once. Win every season after that. Which one are you trying first? Have you failed with roses before? And do you think it was the variety that let you down? Let me know in the comments. Which one are you planting this year? If you found this helpful and want to finally grow roses that actually survive and thrive, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and share it with fellow gardeners who've given up on roses after disappointing results. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos. We've got more rose variety guides, beginner gardening tips, and plant selection secrets coming your way soon. Thank you so much for watching and being part of our growing community. Until next time, happy gardening!